Hello, everyone. Welcome to the undergraduate webinar series, an interactive online platform connecting high school students to the Ashoka community. Thank you for joining us today for the webinar on undergraduate admissions. I am Brinda Tandon, and I work with the outreach team at Ashoka University. Since the deadline for round 1 admissions to Ashoka's undergraduate program is approaching soon on 22nd of November, we want to help answer any queries that you might have. Joining me today are Benji Lokikon and Madhuri Lalwani from the Office of Admissions at Ashoka University. Together, we will be addressing some of your queries on the Ashoka undergraduate admissions process. Before we begin, I would like to inform our audiences that you do not have to wait for the 12th board marks or CUET to apply. You can get a confirmed offer of admission and financial aid even before your final board exams. Now, without further ado, let's get started. I would request our audiences to kindly type any questions that you may have in the Q&A box provided on your Zoom screen. We will address your questions during this entire session. Starting with our first question of the day. So, hi Ben, hi Madhuri. Let's start. All right, so first question, and I think Benjila, you can begin with this one. What is the deadline for applying in the first round, and what do you think are the benefits of applying in the first round?
Right. So the deadline for your first round is the 22nd of November. So why we encourage you to submit and apply in the first round is because you can get a confirmed offer of admission even without your 12th board marks or your CUET scores. And you will get your confirmed offer by January 2024. And apart from that, you will also get a confirmed financial aid decision by January 2024. And we have a very generous financial aid program ranging from 25% waiver on your tuition fees to up to 100% waiver on your tuition fees, your residence cost, and your meal cost. So we highly encourage you to apply in the first round and submit your applications by the 22nd of November.
Perfect. All right. Madhuri, let's have you for the second question. Is there any application fee for the undergraduate program?
No, there is no application fee at this stage of the application. I think this also goes to welcome everybody to sort of give this a shot, try, and be committed to this process. We also do want to be very inclusive of students who may not have, access to a lot of, resources at this stage. So yeah, there is no application fee at this stage.
Excellent. Okay, so I think this is one question that I want both of you to take from your own perspective, since you've been working with the admissions team for a very long time now, both of you. So Ben, I think you can start, and Madhuri, you can continue with this one. What does Ashoka look for in students? Because this is one question that we get asked all the time. So right. Ben, if you can just begin.
Okay. So I've been working with the admissions office for quite a long time now. And something that really stands out from all our applications is the commitment and the genuineness that comes out through a student's application form, through their interviews. So we look for students who are genuine, authentic, and who can represent themselves honestly in their application form. We look for students who are hardworking and committed as well. So if you look at the application form, we ask not only for your class 10th, 11th, and 12th scores, but we also ask for a lot of other things, such as your extracurricular engagements, the kind of books that you like to read. The essay questions also help us get insights into the type of interests that you have apart from your academics. So we are looking for someone who is well-rounded, also someone who is open-minded, who likes to learn new things, and who is committed to that learning. If I've missed out on anything, I think Madhuri will add some more to that.
Yeah, so I think you've pretty much covered everything, but since we do have an interdisciplinary program which allows students to, take courses from different disciplines and also explore literally every part of their interest, like they don't have to limit that to one particular discipline. I think that's why we go so long on our way also, to sort of get as much information as we can about every candidate. So while you do think that, it may be a lot of information, I think the best way to go about it is to sort of take your time with the application, really just sit with it, think about these things, and answer everything with as thorough and as truly to yourself as you think it is, right? Yeah.
Nice. I think that sort of covers the entire question. Thank you so much, both of you. Now, one more technical question, and this is again a question that we get asked a lot. Um, so our application is holistic in nature, which means it has a lot of parts to it, right? So it can, at the end of the day, confuse the child a little bit, the person who's filling it up, because these are 12th graders at the end of the day. So are there any points that they should keep in mind while they're filling up the application form? And I think, Madhuri, you can begin with this answer.
Yeah.
I mean, if you guys could just go point by point, that'd be very, very helpful. So, Madhuri, you can, I think,
Yeah,
start.
definitely. I think the way I look at the application form is there are more objective parts to the application form and there are more subjective sections. So the best thing to do in your objective parts is these are going to be details like your personal information, your education details, your parents' information. So for all the objective sections, this will be information that you may have. But if you're, let's say, if you're rushing through the application, or you don't take your time with it, it's very easy. We do notice students make occurs like errors in those sections, right? So your objective sections are things that shouldn't probably phase you. These are things that you know and they're already there. And so you're just going to be filling those. But the subjective sections are where you will be, thinking about basically what are the interests that you've had. And so you have your non-academic engagements, right? And so these are sections that, like we just discussed, that they help us get to know you as the holistic individual. So with the subjective sections, I think you need to sit down and also think about what are activities that you spent most time with, and things about your essays. You can take your time to even think about what's what's a cause that probably you find most important. So these are things that also make you reflect. And I think that's why we also lean towards interesting questions, because we want you to be able to think and go through it. So yeah, for more objective questions, keep all your documents handy, because you will have to upload quite a lot of them. And you can also navigate through all your sections part by part, right? And so as and when you can also go back to your sections once you're done. So this will also help you sort of ease yourself in that process, where a lot of sections might feel very daunting, but take it step by step. We also do have an application guide, which is like on the website, which has screenshots of literally every part of the application. So you can also lean into things like that to assist you through each section. Yeah.
Ben, do you want to take any part of it?
I think Madhuri has covered it quite well. It's just that we want every applicant to be careful while filling up the application form, because a small mistake could make your application form ineligible, or it could make it ineligible basically. So just be careful while filling up your application form. Make sure there are no spelling errors, that there are no errors in the dates and the details information that you give us.
Right. And just my 2 cents, while you're filling up your application, everyone, if you ever feel like you're not able to get through you have any doubts or queries that you're not able to get over, and you feel like you want to speak to somebody, you can always reach out to us as well. There are helpline numbers available all over our website. They must have reached you already through emails. In fact, for this webinar also, you must have received an email with helpline numbers and email IDs. Reach out to us. We respond to every single phone call and every single email. So just reach out to us for help and we'd be happy to help you out. Okay. Now, all right. So first stage is the form. The second stage for us, the second part of the first stage is the assessment, right? Now, the Ashoka Aptitude Assessment. Now, again, an FAQ that we keep getting again and again. If you could just shed some light on the Ashoka Aptitude Assessment. And that one very, very, very frequently asked question is that, is there any preparation required for the triple? So, Ben, I think you can take this.
Madhuri, please add if I miss out on any information. So the assessment is mandatory for everyone who submits their application form. You will not proceed on to the next stage if you do not take your assignment. So please take it very seriously. once you submit your application form, you will receive emails from us giving you detailed information about how to take the assessment. We also have a sample assessment paper on our website. So please check that out so that you have a fair understanding of what kind of questions will be asked. You need minimal preparation for this assessment. There's not a lot of things that you could prepare for. We have a 90-minute slot for the Ashoka Aptitude assessment, which will ask you critical thinking questions and analysis and all that. And you have a 30-minute slot to write the on-the-spot essay. Now, the on-the-spot essay, you will get random questions. You will each receive 2 questions, out of which you can choose one and take the whole of 30 minutes to complete the on-the-spot essay. So yeah, even the on-the-spot essay prompts will be randomized and not everyone will get the same questions. So I don't think you will need much preparation for that. But if you want to see samples of what kind of essays the students write, or what kind of essays are good essays, what kind of prompts we generally put forward, you can check out the website. You will get all the detailed information there. Madhuri?
Yeah, I think just to add, like the samples also give you an idea that, this is not something that you may have to go out of your way to prepare for. And if you find this process very daunting, the samples will really help you understand and sort of get in terms with the fact that you can do this. The whole idea of the assessment is to really see how you can think and engage with material that is in front of you, right? So if you do that pretty much every day of your life in school as well. So I think we think you're quite ready for it without much preparation. So yeah, that's it.
Perfect. Guys, if I may ask, can you please shed light on just a little bit of it on the mock link that we sent to them as well before the assessment, if either one of you wants to take it?
Right. So the assessment will be held on the 4th of December.
3rd of December. 3rd of December, it's a Sunday.
Yeah, the Sunday, the first Sunday of December, which is the 3rd of December. Before the 3rd of December, in the last week of November, you will receive a mock test link from us so that you can check out the link, ensure that your computer is compatible with the platform that we are using. You will not be able to take this test on your mobile phone. You will need a personal computer or a laptop for that. So yeah, the test link will ensure that the browser that you're using is compatible with the platform. Also, just ensure that you have the admissions@ashoka.edu.in email ID in your saved contact list, because sometimes this information that we send out goes to the spam folder, and students tend to miss out on the information, the important information that we send. So once you submit your application form, please ensure that you're keeping an eye on your inbox, your spam folder, and everything, so that you're receiving the information on time.
Perfect. Okay, so I think with that, let's come to something that happens after that, which is the interviews, right? So one question that we get asked a lot again is because as the outreach team, we're the ones who go out and talk to students a lot. This is the one thing that we get a lot, is that is the interview very difficult to crack? Is there anything that we can prepare for the interview? This is basically stage 2 for us. Stage 1 is the application form and the aptitude assessment. After this, a shortlisting happens and you go in for an interview. So is the interview very, very difficult to crack, and how can they prepare for it? Madhuri, you can take this one.
Sure. I think so. First thing, just facts about the interview. It's an online interview. It may be different from the way in which you perceive interviews, because at the end of the day, we also think of it as a conversation where we're really extending the process of all the earlier stages, and we're getting to know the candidate better, get an opportunity to sort of discuss things that they may not have been able to express through the application, and sometimes even extend further things or go in greater detail over things that they have already mentioned in their application. So the best, I think, the preparation is sometimes students at the application stage, they may not remember the kind of things that they've written. So your first step would be to sort of just go through your application, be aware of all the things that you've mentioned, just to be also aware of the kind of things that you may be asked, right? You can expect this conversation to be 20 to 25 minutes, although it's usually varied person to person, because it at the end of the day comes to if the interviewer wants more details from you or not. So that's nothing to be worried about. But I think a large part of it is that since we look for holistic candidates, people who are also not just aware of things academically, but have, an importance to things non-academically as well. So can like everyone can also sort of take time in going through the Ashoka website, looking at the kind of programs we have, because this will give you an opportunity to see what makes you a good fit. Because I think you need to believe that before you convince anybody else on it or even talk to anyone else about it. So yeah, that's my take on it. Benjulo, do you have anything to add?
I think you've pretty much covered everything. So interviews are not really daunting because these are mostly conversations. The interviewers are not asking you yes or no, like right or wrong answers. There wouldn't be any wrong answers. We just want to get to know you, the level of engagement you've had with your academics or your extracurricular activities or other stuff. So yeah, it's just a platform for us to engage with incoming students, also get to know why they want to study at Ashoka. So just be really sure, like Madhuri said, about why you are a good fit for Ashoka University.
Perfect. Okay. Now, since we're going step by step, now let's go to the next part of the process. Of course, after this, their job here is done. Once they're done with the interview, then we give them an offer. And in case they get a confirmed offer of admission, then they move to either the first set of the fee or financial aid. Now, let's talk a little bit about the financial aid part, because that is an integral part of the overall Ashoka essence and the ethos that we have. So, is the financial aid merit based or is it need based? And how much financial aid do we provide at Ashoka University? Benjita, if you want to start.
I can start and Madhuri can take over. So, on the day you get your confirmed offer of admission, the financial aid form will be opened to you. Now, why we do this because financial aid is not merit based at Ashoka University. It is all need based. It depends on the family income, the situation, the context of the student. So, the financial aid form is quite extensive. They will be asking you for a lot of documents, a lot of information about the parents' income, family income, and everything. So, my advice to you would be to go onto the website, go onto the financial aid page, have a look at the financial aid form. It will give you an idea of the things that you will need to get prepared for before you apply for financial aid. Just get all the documents ready so that when the form opens, you're ready to submit. Please keep note that the financial aid form is open for only 5 days. It will be closed within 5 days, after which you will not be able to apply for financial aid. So within those 5 days, if you think it will be difficult for you to collect all the documents, just make sure that you have all the documents ready with you. Also, the Office of Admissions will conduct a webinar with the Financial Aid Office immediately after the offer is sent. So just keep an eye out in your inbox. Once you receive an offer of admission, you will get information about the webinar about financial aid. So you can just join the webinar, get all your questions and doubts clarified there as well. Right, and our financial aid is quite generous. Like I said before, it ranges from tuition fee of 25% waiver to 100% waiver on your tuition fee, your residence cost, and your meal cost. So the range is quite varied, and depending on the income of the student's family, the financial aid is granted to each student. Madhuri, if you want to add anything more.
Yeah, just in following what you just said, I think the financial aid works with the essence that it meets your need, right? And that may vary from every student and every individual to another. So that's the reason why we have a lot of parts to financial aid, and there are a lot of kinds of financial aid that you could get. The maximum being that you get 100% financial aid on your tuition, residence, and meals, which covers all your costs at Ashoka. But obviously, this will depend on your financial situation, right? While we also talk about financial aid being entirely need based, We do have merit scholarships for science students, and I encourage everyone on this webinar to sort of go to the website and check out what is the merit-based scholarship for science students at Ashoka, and more specifically, does it meet the kind of things that you wish to pursue at Ashoka? So yeah, that's all I had to add.
Perfect. If you guys don't mind, can I just add 2 cents here? Okay, so guys, when we talk about a need-based financial aid, I think we have to make sure that you understand why Ashoka is able to offer this need-based financial aid, because Ashoka is not owned by one person. There is no profit making at Ashoka. Ashoka is in fact governed by 200 plus founders. Every year we raise money to make sure that anybody and everybody who deserves an Ashoka education can also afford it. And no student at Ashoka has ever been denied education due to financial constraints. Nearly 50% of our class every year is on financial aid of some form or the other. And this is, in fact, a done deal from our end. And plus, while we're looking at you for the financial aid, we're not only looking at the income levels and the income statements of the family, we're also looking at the loans, liabilities, and the dependencies. So just like both of them just said that it's your financial situation, that means we're talking about your context. Your parents could be earning X amount, but your loans, liabilities, dependencies, and expenditures is also X. So obviously, we can't expect you to pay the entire fees. Or even if it's X minus 2, there is a small chunk that you might need help with. That's where we step in, right? So you can just let us know that you need help, and you could, think that you will not qualify for it, but we in fact encourage everybody who gets a confirmed offer of admission at Ashoka to apply for a financial aid, because you don't know, you might be eligible for it, right? So thank you, ladies. So let's go to the next question. Okay, so now we move on to some pressing audience questions. What we've done is we've collated them in a way that the constant questions that you are getting, we sort of put them together in single questions so that it's easier for both of you to answer as well, and it's easier for our audiences also to understand where their question lies. Okay, so with that, let's get started. There is somebody who's asking that I haven't completed my form yet. Should I wait to apply in round 2, or do I still have time? Who wants to take it?
Honestly, you still have time. The round 2, like you may be able to do the process in round 2, but I think a large part of this kind of an apprehension comes from feeling that the whole process is very daunting. And I think we take our time and effort to sort of break that down into pieces. So the best part about applying in your first round is that you don't need your scores, like your final scores. You can apply without that. And also our process takes into consideration the fact that students, may want a stress-free college experience. So a lot of people who do feel like, their scores are the only deciding factor, Ashoka really breaks that down for you. So even though you may not have completed, we still have like a good amount of time. Our application deadline for the first round is 22nd November. So take a little bit time, and I think you will be able to still apply in the first round.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right. Now, next one. Okay, so this is actually something which is also sort of an FAQ that we get, but I'm very glad that somebody's asked that in the audience. So it basically says that in the absence of 12th marks and CUET scores, what will be the criteria of selection for a confirmed offer of admission?
Right.
So,
in your 12th academic section, there's a space for you to put in your self-predicted 12th scores. So you can use that. For some boards, the school will also give you your 12th school predicted grades. So if you have the predicted grades from your school, you can use that. Or in some cases for IB and Cambridge, your counselor will give us the school predicted grades. So you can fill up your counselor details, and the counselor can send in your predicted grades. But you can submit your form without your 12th final marks, because self-predicted, school predicted, and counselor predicted grades will also work.
And just to add to what Ranjana was saying, we don't ever have one set criteria. That is, there's no code that you could crack. The only thing that we're very honest and transparent about is at the end of the day, there are all aspects of your candidature and all aspects of you that we take into consideration, right? So we also do have your track record from class 10, 11, and all the activities that you've done since, all the things in academics that sort of interest you. So that's why the process is so thorough to be able to get to know you in detail. So even though you do have like predicted scores that you will be submitting. We also do have a lot of other factors and a lot of other areas in which we get to know you. So in that way, we're able to make a comprehensive and thorough judgment of you as a person.
Right. So just to reiterate, guys, predicted scores work for us. For CBSE and ISC, self-predicted scores work as well. We take them in the same strive as we take your school predicted scores. In case you're waiting for your school predicted scores to come to you and then you will apply, you don't really have to. We understand that self-predicted scores are something that you can provide us, and we're okay with that. So self-predicted scores work. So if you're applying for round one, but this is the only thing that's holding you back, I don't think it should. And for IB and Cambridge, we will require a counselor predicted score. In that case, also, you don't have to do anything. You just have to give us the details of the counselor, and the counselors have to fill up your grades. So again, you don't really have to wait for the school to do that for you, right? So, okay, now with that, right, I'm gonna take a question, which is sort of a follow-up for this one. So we've talked about the predicted scores. What if we do not match our self-predicted grades, and why do we, I mean, how important is it for us to match our predicted grades?
Should I take this?
Yes, please.
If you get a confirmed when you get a confirmed offer of admission from us with your self-predicted grades, you do not have to worry about whether you're really matching your self-predicted grades. There is also a thing where we sort of trust our applicants. We trust them to put in their expected grades, their self-predicted grades, and in some cases, it could be an instance where your decision might get deferred, where we would ask you for your final grades in case there's some discrepancy there. But other than that, your self-predicted grades work fine. Once you get a confirmed offer of admission, you shouldn't be worrying about that. So that should not be a big deal.
Perfect. And I think the one thing that a lot of people might be thinking, that how do we self-predict? How is it even possible for us to self-predict, right? So you know your preparation the best. You have been preparing for your boards, you know your course structures, and you know how you've been preparing in school, and plus how you're preparing on your own as well. Your self-study schedule, you're the one who knows it best. So what you can do is you can just take a range in your head. So for example, if it's English, you're going somewhere between 85 to 95, or maybe take a smaller range, take 90 to 95. Give us the central point of that, so that you don't over-predict or you don't under-predict. So this whole thing of matching your predicted scores, it just goes out of the window. You don't have to worry about it much. Just take a range, give us the central point, and that's it. That's all you need to do, right? Now, okay. Now this is a very, very important question, and I think I think Madhuri, you can take this one. Now we get asked this question again and again and again. Are SATs and ACTs mandatory at Ashoka?
So SATs and ACTs are not mandatory. We do have a section to, let's say, capture and honor your scholastic achievements, right? So you can enter your SAT, ACT, or CUET scores. While we do understand that not everybody may have taken it, I think this is where AA bridges the gap for us, the Ashoka Aptitude assessment. And so that's the opportunity for which is mandatory, right? So regardless of your SAT or ACT scores, even if you don't have them or you think you may take at a later point, you don't have to worry that this is one aspect that may make you like you may have to catch up, because the AA in that sense helps us sort of understand everybody and their scholastic achievements. So you can submit these scores if you do have them, but if you don't, I honestly would discourage anybody from worrying about it or letting this come in your way of applying.
Excellent. Thank you so much. So now let's get down to another section, which is quite interesting. So the extracurricular section, right? That is one section that a lot of students have a lot of queries regarding, because everybody has a different set of activities that they've put in, right? So what we've done is we've taken out the FAQs, or we've taken out those specific questions that have been repeated again and again. Now let's begin with the first one. One second. Okay, how important are the non-academic engagements in a student's overall application? Vedrilo, if you can just take this one.
Yeah. Right. So the application form, I'd say there's not one specific section that is more important than the rest. Everything is equally important. So your extracurricular activities, your non-academic engagement, those are equally important as your 10th, your 11th, and your 12th scores and other scores as well. So I would highly encourage you to take that section seriously. You will not be able to skip it because everything is mandatory. You cannot submit your application form without, putting in your 3 activities that we are asking you for. Now, when you come to that section, we are looking for students who, have interests in things other than just academics. So it could be music, photography, or vlogging, things that excite you, things that you have engaged with in depth. So, or it could be an internship. um, I also understand that there might be some who might not have engaged in the extracurricular activities in school at the school level, but you do not have to worry about it because if you have like a hobby that's like baking or singing, or if you have picked up an interest like guitar or the ukulele, you can always put those down because they will help us get an insight into the kinds of things that you like to do and the kind of effort that you put into things that you're interested in. So, yeah, Madhuri, anything else?
Yeah, I think what you said about the hobbies was something that I think we can express that in when you're talking about your activities, you don't have to. There are different kind of ranges of engagement. So your degree of engagement may vary with certain activities. Like it doesn't. It starts from, let's say, the international, national, state, and district level. But you can also talk about this is something you do at a practice or personal level, and that still helps us understand what are the kind of things that interest you outside of academics, right? So that's something you can do. And also, since you have to add attachments to all activities, please do not assume that these attachments are only expected as, let's say, certificates. While they're very helpful, where you do have any kind of certificates, we highly encourage you to attach them. But in case like where it comes to things like which might be more hobbies and things like baking, you can also just update your kind of artwork, what you have done, and that would still help us just see how you've engaged with that activity. So yeah, it is important because at the end of the day, you have to be a holistic sort of person. We do also want to know you outside of the classroom. And so, but at the end of the day, like Vendelo just emphasized, that it's not, no section is more important than the others. So please take all of them very seriously.
Perfect. I think I'm going to take a follow-up question on this one. So, what if there are activities that I do not have certificates for? So, Madhuri's already mentioned that you can mention those activities. But what if it's an internship that I've done or an NGO that I've worked in? What if I don't have a certificate for that? Is there any other way for me to add value to that particular part or that particular activity in the application? Is there something
Uh,
else that you will accept as a document for it?
So the best way to go about it is there are 2 sections which allow you to represent all the kind of activities, right? You have co-curriculars and extracurriculars. I know we're talking about extracurriculars, but a lot of students may get confused between the two. So there are things that if you have written research papers, if you've sort of done MUNs, things that you feel like are still leaning towards the academic section space, you can also use the section under the class 12 scores, where we have a text box where you can write academic and co-curricular activities. This is a great section for anybody who just wants to communicate any academic interests. And I think the reason we also had to bifurcate that and also just specify and make space for that is at the end of the day, if you have space only to enter 3 activities, we would like you to think about what are the 3 activities that are most important to you, that you have engaged with the most. And sometimes it could just be, like if you've engaged with an activity for a long period of time. So you can also just share pictures of that activity, right? So there are 2 ways to do this, but you can sort of sit down and think about the things that are most important to you. And I think that will be helpful in this process.
Nice. So I think you've answered the next question that one of our audience members had asked. They did ask us that, for example, if there are only 3 spaces for us to fill in, so do we fill in only 3 or do we have space somewhere else? So like you mentioned, there are 2 different parts to it, right? There are co-curriculars and there are extracurriculars. Something that is academically inclined can be put under 12th grade, and something which is completely not academically aligned but is an extracurricular, you can put that in those three sections. And if you have more, I think the one thing that I've understood from the admissions team over the years is that prioritize, guys. You will have to prioritize, and we need the top three. So the ones that are maybe the closest to you, or the ones that you think you would represent you the most, you can prioritize and give us those three, because at the end of the day, there is a reader who's actually sitting and reading not just your form but a lot of forms, right?
Also,
And
at the
this,
end of the day, we have an opportunity to get to know them a lot more in the interview
yes,
space, so they don't have to be worried that anything will get missed out.
of course, that part. So yes, so I think with that we've covered most of the extracurricular section. But there is just one last question I think that I can answer as well. But I will still put it both of you. If there is something that you've done 5 years ago, maybe from grade 8, should we add that in the application as well?
Um,
Benjira, if you want to take this.
yeah. See, the question would be, are you still engaging with that activity?
Exactly.
So if you are, then yeah, sure, why not? Or is that activity something that really defined who you are, defined you as a person? Then of course, if it's a life-changing activity for you, please feel free to add that. But at the same time, remember that we are also looking for students who have depth of engagement in each activity. So it could be something that you have engaged with over a long period of time. So we are looking for consistency and something that's not just one time. So yeah, like Brinda said earlier, just prioritize and see which ones would make the most impact.
Perfect. Okay. So I think we've covered most of the extracurricular section. Let's move on to the next very important section, which is the letter of recommendation. Now, we got a lot of questions for it, but we've taken out two that were asked constantly. So the first one, Madhuri, you can take this one. Why is it that the recommendation letter is highly recommended to be put into the application? Madhuri, do you want to take this?
So yeah, sure. Usually, we have a lot of applicants and our students who may have engaged in a lot of activities, and just like you said, if there is like a lack of a certificate and things like that, it also helps us add some more voices to the picture where they sort of give us their perspective on having engaged with you. The reason it's not mandatory is that we do understand that there may be students who may not have had such activities, and it doesn't or had such engagements, or someone who they can get a letter of recommendation from, which is totally fine. But the reason we highly recommend it is because it gives us another insight, right? It's another point of insight into who you are and how you are to like when working with other people. And also because at the end of the day, as it is an academic space, it's also a residential campus. So it does also give us a lot of engagements about how you engage with people. Also, do keep in mind not to get your letter of recommendation from a friend or a cousin or things like that, because it defeats the whole point, right? The whole point is to sort of get to know somebody, you from somebody who you've engaged with in a professional capacity, and that maybe you can take a call on that, right? So yeah.
Okay, so you've answered both the questions together, because my next question was, who can write my recommendation letter? I'm just going to reiterate what you just said. It has to come from somebody who knows you in a professional setup. Somebody who's not related to you, who's not connected to you, but knows you. So it can be a tutor, it can be a teacher, it can be a coach, it can be anybody that you are connected with. And yes, so I think we're done with the LOR section as well. Now let's go on to the next one. So we've answered one question about the AAA, and you guys were very, very descriptive about it. But now let's answer a few questions that kids have given us constantly. So Benjito, I'm going to throw the first question at you, this one. What is the pattern of the assessment, and what sort of questions can they expect in this particular assessment?
Right.
If you could start.
So for the Ashoka aptitude assessment, you will get 40 questions. It will all be MCQ type, and yeah, it will all be MCQ type. So
Yes.
40 questions for you to answer in 90 minutes. Okay, just one thing to note, if you require extra time for your assessment, please make sure that you mark that in your support section. We will need to know that you need extra time for that particular assessment, and also give us proof or evidence as to why you need the extra time, and then extra time will be granted to you. But for the rest, it will be for 90 minutes, 40 questions, after which you will get a 5-minute break, and then you will move on to the on the spot essay, which is for 30 minutes. And again, extra time will be granted as per the need of the student.
Okay, perfect. So I only have one question left, because you've actually answered the one, because there was somebody who asked if they can ask for extra time during the on-the-spot essay, because I think there is somebody here who wanted to know that. But so there is one question which I think we've been asked as well, but let's just put it out there. Are calculators allowed in this particular assessment?
I
No.
don't think so. No.
No.
So
No.
there will
Guys,
be
this is something I think.
yeah, there will be
Yes.
proctors watching over you. So you cannot move from one screen to another. You will be AI will detect that. Your room will be scanned. There shouldn't be anyone sitting near you unless you have asked for a scribe. You cannot have anyone sitting you in the room. Your phones will have to be away from you. So yeah, I don't think calculators will be allowed.
And just
Right.
to
So
add, the reason you have samples and the reason you do know that, at the end of the day, even the MCQ test has two parts: the problem solving and the analytical sort of critical thinking aspect, right? So the reason we do have samples is for you to get to that place of comfort where you feel like you can really, opt for this assessment, and you can definitely give it without any much preparation or even anxiety, because we do know that a lot of students may get nervous in this process, which is totally fine. But it's totally fine for you to sort of go through everything. Do not use calculators. I really hope you won't need them.
yes, and also just so everybody knows, there is no negative marking in this particular assessment. Guys, it's an aptitude assessment. Even if you don't do well in this aptitude assessment, we still give you a benefit of the doubt based on the rest of your profile, right? That you submitted to us. Because as we've been saying again and again, grades are not the only thing that matter for us. We're looking at you as an entire entity, and grades are only a part of it, right? So you don't have to get nervous about the aptitude assessment, because at the end of the day, it's just for us to get another aspect of you. That's it, right? Right. So we're done with the aptitude assessment part as well. Good job, guys. Okay. Right. So this is one question that I'm going to take. Is the aptitude assessment and the interview online? The entire application process for us, ladies and gentlemen, is online. The application form that you're filling in is online. On the 3rd of December, when you sit for the aptitude assessment, it is online. The portal will open at 9:30 in the morning. It will stay open till 4:30 in the evening. You can just take out 2 hours of your time and it'll stay open. After that, if in case you get shortlisted for your interview, which I hope a lot of you do get to, it will also be online. You will be given multiple options of dates. So even if you're fearful of the fact that it might fall in the middle of your pre-boards and so on and so forth, you don't have to worry about that, because we will give you multiple options. You have to choose, take out of a 45-minute slot for yourself, and the interview can range anywhere between 15 to 45 minutes. That's it. That's the entire crux of the application process. Okay, now I'm going to get both of them to answer the nitty-gritties. Right. So now coming on to the interview part. One second. So, right. Are there, so you've answered this question actually. How can they prepare for the interview? There is still somebody who's asking that how much of the form will you be taking in the interviews? Like, in the sense, you've read the form, and how much of that form will you be asking us about? Should we prepare something for the form as well? And does that matter as well? So if you can just highlight that a little bit. Vendito, if you can take that question for me, please.
Yeah. So when you're filling up the application form, remember that we are trying to get to know you and not some other person who is helping you with the application form, right? So we expect you to be as thorough as possible with your form. We need you to know, the kind of books, the names of the books that you have put in, why you're interested in those books, or the essay that you've written. what made you write that essay. So all these things these things might come up in the conversation that you have with your panel. Um, so just be familiar with the application form. Also, like we've been saying, just be as genuine as possible. We are looking for honest students who can represent themselves correctly and well. So just be thorough with what you've said in the form. Also, we'll be talking to you about your extracurricular activities and things that you like to engage with. So tell us why you're interested in those activities, or what inspired you to pick up those activities, what you've done with that, what you intend to do. So these are some of the line of questions that might come your way, but I can't say for sure because you will have different interviewers. Yeah.
Yeah, ma'am. All right. So now this is one question that I get a lot, honestly, and I think my team does as well. So one of the parts of the application form is the essays, right? In a lot of cases, students get a little apprehensive about writing an essay. Now, before I even ask you guys this question, I think I'm going to bifurcate these essays for everybody sitting in the audience right now. Number one, there are 3 essays in the entire application process, guys. 2 are in the application form, and 1 is your on-the-spot essay, right? Now, while you're submitting your application, we need those 2 mandatory essay forms, right? So, essays in your form. When you're sitting for the aptitude assessment, you will have to sit for the on-the-spot essay. So basically, all the 3 essays are mandatory, right? Now, what we're going to do is we're going to bifurcate both of these questions as well, because constantly people are asking us what makes it a good essay, right? What are the sort of essays that you're looking at? But there are 2 kinds of essays in this entire process. So I think both of you can take one each. Madhuri, you can start with the first one. The essays in the assessment stage. What is it that you guys are looking for, and what is it that the students can do while preparing for it? And Vendilo, you can take the one in the application form, right? And we can take it from there. So, Madhuri,
Sure. Yeah, so when you think about the on-the-spot essay, we're working with a time constraint, right? You will be writing the on-the-spot essay in 30 minutes. The whole point of this is not to see how many facts you remember or how many facts you can come up with on the spot. It's really to think about how do you engage with information. And so let's say the fact that in the very first stage, there are 2 questions in the on-the-spot essay everyone will get, and you get to choose. So you already at that stage have at least one topic that you're more comfortable with, you're more familiar with. And the idea of this giving like everyone an option to choose is that they should also feel that comfort, because that helps with the writing. But we also do want to know how you engage with information. That's as simply as I could put it. And that may be different for various people. Everyone may approach that question differently. I would like us to steer away from, let's say, thinking that a good essay looks like XYZ. It really may not help your case, because with that time constraint, I don't think you may have the time to even think, oh, this is how I'm going to structure this in the idea of a good essay. And that's why it's very important to be very true to yourself, not just at the application stage, but this is a stage that is going to give you that opportunity to just think about, let's say, any kind of question that is in front of you and just answer it as truthfully as you know. So I think that's what I would say would be a very good way to approach the on-the-spot essay round.
Nice. So, Benjiro, about the essays in the application form, what makes it a good essay for you?
Right. So there are 2 essay prompts in the application form. The first one is more cerebral. We are trying to look at, the kind of engagement that you have had with a particular topic that you are really passionate about, the kind of research that you have put into it. So it could be, you could talk about stuff that you have learned through reading books, or if you're not a big reader, you could talk about things that you have done research on through podcast or audio-visual learnings. So things that's have had like an impact on you, and a topic or a theme that has provoked you to do some more research and just try to understand what the topic is and tell us why that is important to you. The second one is a little more personal, with trying to see any experience or event that has had a huge impact in your life and how that has shaped you. So like I said, just keep this two in mind and try to engage with them as truthfully as possible. It's easy for us to notice like plagiarized content or content that's taken from ChatGPT. So we highly discourage applicants to not use plagiarized content or content from ChatGPT, because we read a lot of application forms, and once you start plagiarizing or using ChatGPT responses, all the essays would somehow turn out to be the same. So just keep that in mind. Try to be as authentic as possible.
Perfect. So now there are two pressing questions that have come back on the section that we've already answered questions for. But let's just go back on that. So, guys, I think the moment we answered about the structure of the aptitude assessment, as in there are how many questions, there's a question that's come in which says that on Google we're able to find an aptitude test which is like 75 questions. Guys, whatever other assessments you're able to find on Google, please do not look at those. Do not refer to those. Ashoka's aptitude assessment is only 40 questions and 90 minutes. We do not have any other sort of assessment going on at Ashoka University that you need to refer to, right? If you're able to find these incorrect papers across the internet, do not refer to those. Just go on the Ashoka website, and we've put a sample paper on the website. Do not Google sample papers for Ashoka. Just simply go on the Ashoka website and find those there. It is very, very important that you do that. Otherwise, you'll get confused and you'll also scare yourself for no reason, right? And there was one more question that I think I will take for the both of you. If I need to upload links to my recordings, websites, blogs, etc., can I upload a PDF with the links in the activities section? Yes, you can. Simple. Yes, you can do that. If in case you're not able to put it in the description box, you can just put it there. Now, if you guys could just give me 2 minutes, I'm going to make sure that we've not missed out on any of the important questions. Let me just go through the document. 1 second. Okay. Okay, so yes, so there is somebody who's asking us what is the mathematics requirement for a particular subject. So can we shed light on, the whole maths requirement for a lot of subjects that we have, right? Who would want to take that one up? So
yeah, so if you want to major in economics, we need you to have mathematics in your 11th and 12th, but there is an option for those who have not taken math in their 11th and 12th, and that is they will have to pass the calculus eligibility test, right? So you will have to take a calculus enabler course in your semester 1, but in order to take up that course, you will have to pass a test before you take up that course, and all that will happen in semester 1. And you will have to get a 65 or more to be eligible to take the calculus enabler course. Now, once you take the calculus enabler course, again, there's a certain grade requirement. I think it's A or A minus, but there's a certain grade requirement for you to be able to major in economics if you haven't done math. Likewise, for other majors like mathematics, computer science, physics, and math, you will all have to take up the calculus enabler course. And if you haven't done math in 11th and 12th, you will have to take the calculus eligibility test before you take up the course to be able to major in all these subjects. And more details will be on the website. So just check the website and see.
And
right.
just to add, if the candidate is asking about the math requirement for the aptitude assessment, I think that's the reason we have all these policies, even once students get into Ashoka and students at Ashoka, is to encourage everybody to be open to the same kind of opportunities, right? It does not have to stop you if you haven't done math in 11th and 12th. And the same way, the aptitude test also is pretty general in that sense, where everybody should be able to opt for it and write it without any much preparation. While I do say that, I also know that it's easier for us to say something like don't prepare, but I know that on the other side it may be very stressful for some of you, and that's where I think think the best course to go for is the sample attached on Ashoka University website, which will give you a pretty good estimate of are these the kind of questions you're comfortable with, and that will give you a hint of the fact that you may not need to prepare so much for it.
Right. Thank you so much. Now, it's a good thing we checked the questions, because we have a question that we sort of missed out. So it says that for the social issue question, I think Benvilo, you can take this one. The social issue question that we have in the application, I have a controversial sort of a topic that I want to write on. Is it okay if I write, or would that affect my application negatively?
I mean, please feel free to write about whatever cause that you are passionate about. See, this is not a place where we are judging the students based on what they have written about, right? We want to see how they have engaged with the social cause, how they have engaged with this issue that they hold very closely to their heart. So we want to see, the arguments they have for or against that particular controversial topic, and see how they have processed the information and how they have come up with their own opinion or their views about that particular topic. So it could be controversial or not. We just want to see your thought process. And like I said, it's more cerebral. So we want to see how your thinking process would work. And so please feel free to write about anything that you would like to write about. There's no judgment there.
Nice. Okay, Madhuri, you're taking the next question, and it basically says that if a person does not read books, how do I enter the 3 books that I'm supposed to write about? So, Madhuri, if you can just take that.
Yeah, sure. I think about the various, when we think of books, I think it also comes down to what you perceive is a good book that you can write in an application. And so we're already working with assumptions of, I should have read XYZ kind of material. I should have read these famous authors and things like that. But it comes down to something very simple. What are you reading? And it doesn't have to be books that are trending, books that are out there. It has to be something like, let's say, today I read about a topic, and then I'm going to go check more resources on it. So it can be, I would encourage everyone to just think of it as anything, any kind of book that you've engaged with, and things that you feel like represent your reading interests and the kind of things that you like to read, right? So there's also a section where you can talk about a book that you would like to recommend to us. And so there's also opportunity for dialogue and discourse. So I don't think it's a very, so try to steer away from assumptions of what you think a good list of book recommendations would be, or a good list of books for you to have read, because that defeats the point of us getting to know you, right? So think about all the books that you've engaged with, and I think that should help you answering that question.
Perfect. Okay. Now, 2 technical questions. So I'm going to come back to the both of you for your last final words before we end this webinar. But there are 2 technical questions which I can just answer in 2-3 words. I'm quickly going to do that. How long is the on-the-spot essay? Like the team mentioned, is actually 30 minutes, because the overall assessment is 2 hours. So 90 minutes for the aptitude assessment and 30 minutes for the on-the-spot essay. Now, could you tell me a tentative date for the interview? After you've given your aptitude assessment, you'll have to give us some time to get back to you with the date of the interviews. But what we request you to do is, please keep a check on the registered email ID, both inbox and spam, because the admissions team will reach out to you only and only via email. So, of course, I can't give you a tentative or a particular date for it, because as soon as your application is there, in case it's shortlisted, we might end up, sending an email to you. So, rather than giving you a particular timeline, I'm just going to tell you anywhere between 3rd of December to 24th of January, you hear back from us. So just make sure that you check your emails at least once a day, either before going to bed or once you wake up in the morning, because we will only reach out to you via email. That is how the admissions team works, right? Anything else that I should add, ladies?
Also use a personal email ID. A lot of students who end up using a school email ID, this may expire at a certain stage, and I think that may discourage you from getting all this information. So it might just be easy, and it's just highly recommended. We almost advise everybody to use your personal email so you have access to it, because we would like you to be aware of all the communication that you're receiving from us, right?
Yeah. Perfect. Okay. So with that, we're done with almost all the audience questions. The ones that we did not take are your specific questions, but we've answered whatever the crux of your question was. So I think we've sort of done a good job today. Good one. Okay, so Benjiro, any last words for the applicants who are applying in the first term?
Yeah, I would highly encourage you to submit your application forms in round one, because you will get a confirmed offer or whatever decision it is by 24th of January. That is way before you do your 12th board exams even. So you can do your 12th board exams stress-free, knowing that you've gotten admission into a university that you want to get into. So just I would advise you to get this done with, because we don't need your 12th final scores, we don't need your CUET scores, and you would have this assurance that you've gotten an offer of admission, and then you can focus on your 12th exams properly. So I would like to encourage you all to please submit your application forms by the 22nd of November.
Perfect. Madhuri.
Yeah, I think you have 5 days, which is a good amount of time to break this to bits, to sort of sit down and look at the process. I think 5 days is a pretty good amount of time. If you do commit yourself to it. And just like Benrilo said, it really creates a very hassle-free experience for you. And for a lot of people who, this process of it doesn't have to be a question for you to figure out after your exams. So it is definitely, very relieving for a lot of people to have this kind of clarity so early on. And so why would you want to stop yourself from having that? So I think that's really my 2 cents on it.
Perfect. All right. I think thank you so much, both of you, for joining us. With that, we come to the end of today's session. Thank you for joining us. We hope that this webinar was helpful in understanding Ashoka's undergraduate program. Thank you to both our panelists for joining us today. And we would really appreciate if you could take a few minutes to share your valuable feedback with us. The link to the feedback form is provided in the chat box. Please note that the recording of this session will be available on Ashoka's YouTube channel in case you would like to share it with your friends. Before we end the session today, I would once again like to inform our audiences that the deadline for round one of the undergraduate program starting next year is 22nd of November 2023. I would encourage students to start early and get a confirmed offer of admission and financial aid even before you sit for your board exams. For more information, you can write to us at ugapply@ashoka.edu.in or contact us on the numbers given on the screen. This brings us to the end of the session. Please take care and stay safe.